each other for years. Fought together, bled together, been through the hell of Vietnam together. We got a job to do.
And now the training's complete. You just need to give the subject a name.
Dan. Dan, we've got a job to do.
In the shadows. They send us in to find it.
126 actual. Target is in the main house. You have execute authority.
Bravo 6. Going dark.
If he lives and we die, his truth becomes written and ours is lost.
Your cities will surrender. Broken and weak. We will not fail.
They were hostages.
When you take the gloves off, you get blood on your hands, Kyle. That's how it works. We get dirty, and the world stays clean. That's the mission.
How quickly they forget that all it takes to change the course of history is the will of a single man.
Well, it's not over yet. Trust me.
The CIA's analysts consider him to be the single largest threat to free will.
Did you get the plane I ordered?
That's a hell of a request, but give me enough time and I can have one parked outside.
Are you being cheeky, Dan?
Being cheeky, are we, Belle?
Like right now, I'll start talking like Adler. Where is Perseus? Perseus. Where is Perseus?
This is Agent 47. Subscribe to Dan Allen Gaming. He's a great guy.
I have mad respect for you. You've earned my respect.
Dan Allen! You and I. Going dark. Now!
I just want to say a big thank you to you and your community.
Thank you so much for having me. Honestly, it's so fun, and I love talking about this.
Hey, Danny, again, I think you're special. What you do is special. You're goddamn good at this.
I'll have to do it again. Thanks so much, man.
Anytime. Pleasure, man. Take care.
Take care.
Appreciate you,
appreciate you too.
Wanting to be involved, and thank you for all the work you're doing in the space and keeping people involved in the game. And I think it's just beautiful. And it's
How are we all today? We going well? We have Cherami Leigh on in just a moment's time. She was the female V. Gamer girl, how you doing? Nice to see you as always. Who cares? That's a name that I haven't seen. How you doing? Who else have we got here? You like the intro, Shaquille O'Neal? Can't believe it. Look, it's a pleasure to have Shaquille O'Neal here. It's a real thrill for me to have him here. Just bear with me one moment here, guys. There we go. Move over here. I'm doing good, Gaming Pro. How are you? The Karush Slingo. DZM? Simps Unlimited. Wow. Far out. How are they going to be spoilers? I'll try to keep it spoiler free. So what do you guys think? I think we have to delve into some spoilers maybe down the line. I'll give you a warning. Ooh. I'll give you a warning. Titanus Godzilla. Are you looking forward to the Godzilla vs. Kong movie? Looks like a bit of fun to me. Will we see Keanu Reeves on the channel one day? You never know. Hey guys, we've got some exciting more guests after this, don't you worry. So just hold your horses. You are going to love it. I think there's a very requested villain that may be coming on the show very, very shortly from Call of Duty. Panam or Judy? Yeah, I was thinking, should we get Panam on? I think we should. What did I think of Cyberpunk, man? I actually liked it. You know, there's one too many glitches, 100%. But I still actually quite enjoyed it, man, to be fair. What about you? Yeah, warning will be good. No worries, man. How you doing today? I'm good, brother. Team Godzilla, are you Zilla or are you Kong? I think... I don't know. You have to go Kong, don't you? Godzilla got me in the second movie from memory. Felt really bad. Cyberpunk needs more time. It would have been better. Yeah, of course. It was just a time thing, was it? Yeah, I keep getting people asking, can you interview Bell? Look, unfortunately, his schedule's quite busy. You think it's going to be like Batman vs Superman? No one's going to win. Oh, really? You reckon? You're probably right, actually. Team Kong, even though I feel Zilla will win. You know, Zilla should win, let's be honest. Just loving your channel, man. Thank you very much. I appreciate it, brother. How you liking the old Aussie Captain Price? Has anyone seen that video? Or those videos? I had the idea of getting him on to stream some Warzone. Oh, I think that'd be a blast. No one knows who it is. Captain Price? Is it me? Is it someone else? It's yet to be determined. The actor for Stitch. What actor are you referring to? Exactly. Alright guys, Cherami Leigh is here. Are you ready? A 1 in the chat if you want me to get this going. A 1 in the chat. All right, let's do it. Cherami, can you hear me?
I can. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can't see you.
Perfect. Let me see if I can.
We are currently live, by the way, just so you know.
Oh, amazing. Hello.
Everyone's very excited to see you.
I'm so excited to see you guys.
How you been?
Very good. How is life where you guys are?
Well, I'm actually down under in Australia.
I have missed Australia so much. This is the first year, and I guess the last 3 years, that I have not been to Australia.
Oh, you have been. There she is. Hey, thank you for coming on.
I was trying to find my fun Cyberpunk background so we can match. But it's on the
This
other
isn't a
device.
background. I'm actually at Night City.
I mean, of course you are. Mine is a background. But yes, this is the first time, I guess, in the last 3 years where I haven't gotten to take a trip to Australia. And it's come up a couple times in 2020. And then I'm really feeling it in 2021. I miss Australia so much. It's like my home away from home.
So you do love it here?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, that's great to hear. Did you come to Melbourne, Sydney?
I've been to Melbourne, Sydney, Adelaide.
So you did the rounds on all the cons.
And Perth, yes. So I haven't been to the Gold Coast at all.
Yeah.
So maybe one day.
Were you scheduled to come last year?
No, I don't know if I was scheduled to go in 2020. I went twice in 2019. So I was telling people, I was like, I won the jackpot. I got to go in March and then again in September. So I think everyone was like, no Cherami in Australia for 2020. And then I'm like, oh, it's been too long since I've been in Australia. I miss it.
Did you ever try a Tim Tam?
Oh, yes. And the Tim Tam Slam, obviously. I'm a big Tim Tam fan. I also, the last time I was there, someone was like, would you please do the Vegemite Tourist Challenge where you take a spoonful of it and just eat it? And I said,
God.
yeah, guys, I know this is going to taste bad. I know you're just supposed to do like a light, very, very light on toast. But I did it for the video that they needed.
Wow, that's commitment.
And then
that is not fun.
I can't remember what it's called. It's like powdered chocolate and you pour milk in it. But it comes in like a can. I took a spoonful of that as well as like a chaser. So
Milo?
Yeah. So I had a spoonful of Milo to chase the the spoonful of Vegemite. And it actually was a very interesting consistency.
But when you, besides the gimmick items, like when you're actually just eating out, was it nice?
Oh my gosh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Okay. I wish I could remember what it was called. I know it's just like a chain for you guys. But you get bottle caps and you can donate which, you pick which cause you want to put your bottle cap into these giant jars for. But I think it's a burger joint. They have avocado fries there that are amazing. And everyone's like, Cherami, that's not the best restaurant that we have. I'm like, I know you have amazing restaurants. I eat at those too, but I love that burger place.
So we are going to get into your questions, guys, in the chat.
Magic.
But I've personally got a few to get away first. Talk to me about Cyberpunk. How did it come about? How did you land the role? Talk us through the whole process.
It's still very surreal. I mean, so when we get auditions, more often than not, and it's definitely becoming more of a trend, we know nothing about it. When I went into audition, they said, we have a project called Cheetah we'd like you to read for. I said, okay. I got a very brief description. I mean, I'm shocked that they said the character's name is V. And I thought, so V is just a code name for this character.
What year was this, by the way?
This was in 2018.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So,
wow.
I auditioned, just a regular audition. I remember I went into the studio, and usually they have us just record from home or record from our agencies. But the fact that I got to go into the studio to record, or to audition, I thought, so this might be a big project. And I loved the 2 audition scenes I got to do. I was kind of obsessed and went home and was trying to research and do all my detective work and figure out what I might have auditioned for. And I kept getting brought back to the initial Cyberpunk trailer that was released. And I thought, there's no way that I auditioned for this. There's absolutely no way. And then they called, which I was shocked about, and asked me to come work on the demo in 2018. And I thought, well, I'll probably get to do the demo, and then an A-list celebrity movie star will get called in to do the rest of.
Yeah.
And it was a year went by, and I hadn't heard anything. And I was like, well, okay. It was fun while it lasted. Yep. And then they called again in 2019 and said, we have another demo we'd like you to do. And so I went in to do the second demo, and Boris was there, who handles the script and the direction for us, and kind of our liaison with the team in Poland and wherever the voice actors are recording, because voice actors were recording in multiple counturs.
Were you in LA or Poland? Or
I was in LA.
You were in LA, yeah.
It would be so cool to get to go to Poland once and like get to tour.
So you've never been still?
No, I've never been.
Wow, it's funny how things work.
Yeah, but after I did the second demo, we finished the recording process, and Boris said, "Well, I guess we'll see you in a couple weeks to start the main game." And the entire time we were recording, for all of 2019 into 2020, I was very sure that at some point they were going to say, "Thank you so much for your service. V will now be played by this A-list celebrity." And so,
well, it never sunk
still
in.
Me. No. I think it sunk in. I think it sunk in when we did a couple sessions in quarantine during the pandemic, and I was like, okay, if they're going to all this trouble to keep recording with me, I think I'm the voice. Like, otherwise they wouldn't be continuing this charade anymore. So that was kind of when it started to sink in.
When did you know that that Keanu Reeves was going to be in the game?
So I found out coming back from a convention, sitting on an airplane, and my husband...
Before the big reveal at E3?
No, after the big reveal.
Really?
I found out from Twitter.
Oh
So
my God.
My husband texted me. He did not know that I had been working on Cyberpunk either. And he texted me and he said, because I'm a big Keanu Reeves fan, and he said, Keanu Reeves is going to be in a video game. And I was like, what? So I go on Twitter, and of course, Twitter exploded. I'm seeing all the things, and I thought, he's going to be in Cyberpunk. And as soon as I got very excited that he was going to be in Cyberpunk, my stomach kind of flipped, and I was like, oh, I'm definitely getting replaced now. And
you still didn't believe it.
No, but I found out from everybody's responses on Twitter.
Really?
Yeah.
This is what I hear about all voice actors. They're left in the dark like us, just
well, I feel like
the fans.
We can't be trusted with information because we're excited ourselves. And when we are so fortunate to get to go to conventions or talk to other actors, we get so excited that someone will say, hey, have you seen such and such trailer? We're like, yeah, oh my gosh, that reminds me of this other project that wasn't supposed to tell you guys that. Sorry. So we're the last to know. I mean, I'll find out that a show that I'm working on is getting a second season, or I'm going to be in a DLC of a game, only because they need me to go in and record. They're not going to tell me ahead of time because I think they want to minimize the amount of times that I could leak or spoil something.
So when did you go public and told everyone that you were going to be in this game? Before release day, right?
So that was a big topic of conversation at the studio because I was going to conventions and they had announced that I was in the 2018 demo. And so I think at one point in the conversation, they said she can talk about being in the demo, but I remember there were people from the development team that had shared my name, and I was terrified because I had signed an NDA. And so I went to the studio and I said, I did not leak any of this. And then it was up on IMDb and I was like, I didn't do anything. And they said, no, you're not in trouble. But you never know, because I've heard horror stories of somehow people on the internet are very savvy and they figure things out, and then they publish things on IMDb or they write articles, and actors have gotten fired or replaced because they assume the development team assumes that they broke NDA. So I was terrified. So I didn't announce that I was in the game or confirm that I was in the game until I think a week before. And I had been telling everybody, I think a lot of people were frustrated. They wanted to do interviews. They wanted to talk about things. They wanted me to sign things for giveaways. And I was like, it can't come out before the game is out. I don't want them to replace me. And they're like, Cherami, at this point. But I just wanted to play by the rules and not spoil anything. So it was a very, very hard secret to keep.
Are you just so worried because this is a gig of a lifetime?
I think I'm not worried about anything all the time. Yeah. But it was especially It was especially so because absolutely, yeah, this was an experience that I had dreamed about and never thought would happen to me. So it was incredibly surreal. And yeah, since I'm such a, I guess, a paranoid person of doing the wrong thing anyway and upsetting someone anyway, compound it with how big this project was and what a dream this project was to be a part of it. It just, it made it even more stressful.
You like my girlfriend where when you leave the house and you're like, oh, did I leave the oven on? I'll go back and check. Are you that bad or?
It depends. There have been moments where, you know, if my husband and I are packing to go on a trip, there have been a couple moments where I'm like, did I forget to turn off the coffee machine? Or did I forget to turn off the flat iron? Or did I leave the lights on, or whatever the case is? Usually, especially during the pandemic, that's been something I've been trying to do with the downtime, is try to be more intentional and be more mindful and kind of take more time. I might not be able to get as many things done in a day, but I'll actually experience all of the aspects of my day. And it's not a foolproof plan. Sometimes I go back into crazy chaotic mode, but since everything's slowed down, I'm like, I need to try to practice being a little bit more mindful and living in the present. And that calm practice has been very helpful for not making me feel as lost and swept up in the chaos.
Desi, he says, I love the female V.
Oh,
which
thank you.
I think we all do. What how many lines did you do in the in quarantine versus out of?
Yeah, in quarantine we probably had just a handful of sessions, like 4 or 5.
So like what percentage? 10%?
Oh, less
from
than
your home?
10%.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I would say most of it, we had sessions and sessions and sessions. I mean, at one point, because nobody knew what I was working on, and I would tell people, I would say, I'm driving down to Marina del Rey, so I'm not going to be able to do such and such. I'm not going to be able to make it to such and such session across town. And everyone said, do you live in Marina del Rey now? Did you move? And I said, no, I'm just working on something. And there's limited studios that are in Marina del Rey, and most of them are gaming studios or studios that do a lot of games. So a lot of the actors and a lot of the other studios I was working for, I think, were going, what is she working on? Why is she always down there? And they were like, you have a lot of sessions for this Marina del Rey.
That's the thing.
game.
Can't people in the industry put it together when you're having that many sessions? There's only so
Sometimes.
many projects, surely, with that many sessions.
Yeah, I think near the end, because other actors were coming in and working on it. And so it was only a matter of time when they would walk into the studio and there's 4 or 5 booths running, and they would go, Cherami is always here. And then they would notice if they came in and worked on the session, they're like, oh, that's the Cheetah studio. They're working on Cyberpunk, and Cherami's not here today. Interesting. So people were asking me near the end, and then when the second demo came out, people would start asking. They're like, "Is that you? It kind of sounds like you, but I don't." And I said, "I can either confirm or deny, but I do live at that studio."
I cannot confirm or deny.
Exactly.
So how many? I can't even imagine how many lines you actually did. Like that's insane. The amount of. It must have been hundreds of sessions. I don't know.
It was, I would say, definitely over 100 sessions.
Wow.
And then,
That's crazy.
and the sessions were not the normal, like I would say for a lot of gaming sessions, we can move at a sort of a quicker pace because we don't have to match picture like we would for anime. Or we don't have a bunch of other actors in the booth. The dubbing isn't as
precise. Yeah.
So we have a little bit more freedom with the reads. It doesn't have to match a lot. But for this one, because I'm sharing the role with Gavin, they sort of would break down who would get to do which scenes and which missions first. And then we had to, we still had the freedom to do whatever performance we wanted, but whoever had set the pace of each line or had set the time length for each line. So if Gavin had said a line and it took him 5 seconds, I could say the same line however I wanted, but it had to be within that 5-second span, so that when they're putting the options together for the player, somebody's not going to end up with a 3-second line and somebody's not going to end up with an 8-second line. So the process was a little bit of a slower process to record, just because they were very clear that they didn't want Gavin and I doing a copy paste of each other's performances. They wanted to keep our freedom creatively and have us follow our own instincts, but we did have to fit that technical parameter.
Did you ever meet Gavin?
I haven't. I met him virtually.
You haven't met anyone, have you, really? It's just one of those games.
I didn't meet Keanu.
Because there's no mocap in this. It's all voice work. Yeah.
So wow. I hadn't met Gavin. We got to do a panel together the day, I think it was 2 days before the game came out. And we were both so excited because I knew Gavin from V. And so I was terrified. I'm like, I'm going to meet this guy and he's going to say, she is so like excitable and bubbly and she is driving me crazy. And I was so thrilled that when I talked to him, he was just as excited and just as nervous as I was. And he was like, I was afraid I was going to get fired too. And I was like, we are the same. So it was great because I was so ready for someone to be like, oh my gosh, who is this girl? But he is lovely.
Was it cool to go to a deeper like voice? Because a lot of your previous work is very high on the register, would you say?
Yeah.
Like very bubbly and, this one's more mature, would you say?
Yeah, I did. I started doing some stuff in a lower register. I'd always wanted to, but I didn't know how people would respond to it. It's really, it's something you're like, oh, I want to try this, but everybody knows you in a certain way and is comfortable with you in that way. And so I didn't want anybody to say, oh, we know that she's like faking this or this isn't her. Because there are definite things that I resonate with the character, and a lot of her grit and determination and feeling like an underdog and wanting to fight through stuff and live her dream. I absolutely relate to. And there are probably moments in my life where I would have been more in that grounded, real, authentic place. And so it was nice to get to channel that. And I really enjoyed it. And the fact that they cast me, and then now a lot of people are like, we want her to do the lower voice stuff. I'm like, great, awesome, let's do it. My brother was playing the demo early on because he has been very excited for this game, and he's like, "That's kind of sounds like you, but it's not." And his girlfriend was like, "No, I think that's your sister. It sounds like your sister." He's like, "No, it doesn't."
Hold on, you didn't even tell your own brother.
No, I can't. I couldn't tell anybody. I couldn't tell my husband, my family.
Couldn't trust him.
Well, my brother would be able to keep a secret. I feel like.
Hold on, did you say you didn't tell your husband?
Yeah, no, he didn't know what I was working on at all.
Wow.
Now it's gotten a little, he does know about stuff now because when I'm recording at home in the closet, he'll walk by and he'll be like, "Did you just say this? Is this game?" I'm like, "Don't say anything." So now the NDA it protects my husband and my cats. They all have to keep the secret.
I got some questions here.
Sure.
Did you improvise any lines, and what was your favorite line or quote from Mr. White Gaming?
Ooh, improvising lines. It's always a tricky situation because people they work so hard on these scripts, and they will say like, "We'll get rid of this, but we want to keep this." And for Cyberpunk, there were a couple of, like with the slang, we would say like, I don't know if we're saying this right. Maybe we could sub out this word. Maybe we could change this. And a couple of times they would say, sure, but then they would say, no, this is absolutely intentional. I know there were a few times that it's natural to use pronouns. And specifically for V, they wanted to limit the use of pronouns just to try to keep it as gender neutral as possible. And so that made it and they also said in the world that we're creating, gender is less of a construct that everybody abides by, so we don't want to use pronouns as much. So that was really interesting. I noticed Gavin and I were having a hard time with that. We just, because of the way we've been utilizing language to this point, we put pronouns in sentences. And so they'd be like, nope, we got to do that line again, pull those pronouns out. So it was very, very intentional. Wow. Only if the line would absolutely not make sense and it would pull the gamer out of the experience would they say, okay, we can use a pronoun here. So that was interesting. But there were a couple times where I don't know if my reaction, specifically with a certain individual who has a very unique nose that you'll find in the game, my reaction to him was to laugh with the first greeting. And I don't know if that was exactly the read that they had initially thought.
Hold on, can you see the picture on screen? Can you see the model?
I don't know if I can.
No. Like when you're recording.
No. So sometimes we can. They'll sometimes show a like a 3D mock-up of like.
Yeah.
This is kind of what the environment looks like. They do have, which we would refer to as the Night City Bible, and they would say this is kind of the mission that you're going on. These are the characters you'll run into, and then we can flip back and see, do they have rough character art for this? Can they describe the characters that we'll be meeting with? So I don't remember if for him we saw art. I think I just had a very, very clear description. And I was like, I got it. Oh, this is so good. So my first reaction when meeting him was my first reaction after they described it. And I said, let me do it again. And I won't like try to stifle a laugh. And they're like, nope, that's it. We're keeping that. We're moving on. So that happened a couple of times where they just really liked our first instinct.
Is that your favorite like line, or do you have any other lines or quotes that stick out? There's so many, but
there's so many. I really like some of the more introspective, emotional lines where V is sort of grappling with why she feels compelled to stay in Night City and what V is fighting for in this game, and because there's so many opportunities where the question of like, why don't you just give up? Like, what are you doing all this for anyway? And V is very clear about, depending on how the player chooses, why V is there. And so I really loved those moments. I really love all of the scenes with Victor Vector. That was one of my audition scenes, and I remember loving the.
Is that Jackie?
No, her the Ripper Doc.
The Ripper Doc.
And I loved all of those scenes. Of course, the Jackie stuff is so much fun, and Jason's fantastic. And I love.
Why specifically the Ripper Doc?
I have no idea. I don't know if it was from my first audition. When one of my first two audition scenes, one was with Dex and one was with Victor Vector, and I loved that they kind of had a parent-child relationship, but they were also really good friends, and it was sort of a home base when things got a little dicey. V could go back and talk to Victor and sort of get grounded and say like, look, you got to help me through this. And it was I felt like V could be vulnerable with so few people in the game. And of course, as you play the game, your choices of who you want to be more vulnerable with opens up. But that was my first experience of allowing V to be vulnerable was with Victor. So I always associated him with a very safe space for V.
I got to ask you about, I just remembered something. I watched a video of you, I think it was on Instagram, where you received the copy of the game for the first time, and then you just start crying looking at the cover, and I thought that is so awesome.
Yeah.
How did you feel like when you turned the camera off? Like, just that is just such a surreal moment, isn't it?
Absolutely, it was really surreal, and I think I've been an actor since I was a kid, and I think growing up in this industry, you're constantly afraid. And think that, any of these gifts can go away at any point in time. And it's just like you've been told, don't get excited, don't promote anything until it's out and you know that you're in it, because you can be replaced, you can get edited out. And so it's sort of like you're constantly told,
don't tell anyone.
Don't feel too much joy. Don't get too excited. This could get taken away. So there's a sort of a guard at any point in time that you want to protect yourself from getting too excited or feel too much joy. And also for me, when I was acting as a kid, and I would tell people, oh, I worked on the show or I worked on such and such, it made me a target for being bullied even more than I already was. And so I just was like, I'm not going to tell anybody that I'm in anything, because I don't want them to feel threatened and then want to be mean to me. So it was a protection. And I think also when you're an actor and you have a lot of friends that are actors, you don't want to say, hey, I'm in this really cool thing, because every actor would love to experience what you're experiencing. And so you want to be mindful of their feelings, but at the same time, part of your job is to promote the work you're in, and you worked so hard, and every actor has a right to share how excited they were. So I had made the decision leading up to Cyberpunk, when I'm driving around and I can see the billboards, and I had gone on a run the day of the release, and I had gone, it's okay to be excited. It's you can be excited, and nobody is going to say that, you know, you're being super narcissistic or you're being a diva. But you worked really hard. This is a really cool thing, and you can be really excited and really proud of this. So when it got there, and it was like a concrete version in my hand of like, I played this character, I did this, and it's real and it's in my hands. It was surreal, and also just I can drop the walls and just feel really, really excited. And that was really a relief.
Especially because you're on the cover too.
Yeah.
You know? That's got to be cool.
That. Yeah.
This is a AAA game.
I know, it's insane.
Unbelievable. I've got some more questions here for you. Let me just get them up. Who Cares says, how was it working with CDPR?
They were great. So kind, so collaborative. I didn't, you would think with something this big, like you said, this is a AAA game, I would have thought they would have been way more hands-on and like, no, it has to be this way. This is what the fans like. This is what we know sells. This is what we know. No, they were very much like, we hired you. We want you to make the creative choices. We want you to know that we trust you. The director that I got to work with, they, as far as I was aware, they were very understanding. Like, do what you need to do in the process to do the best job that you are proud of. And there were notes that they would come back and say, as we're working through it, we need to make these changes. We need to adjust the performance in this way. But they were fantastic. I mean, I was amazed how much freedom I had. And as I got a little more comfortable in the process, that I would ask questions and say, is it cool if I make this choice, or can I do this? And they would say, absolutely, give it a shot. And then we'll let you know where we think the best direction is overall, because I didn't know where the character was going because they were still working on building the story. So it was sort of like they're forging ahead and making this path, and I'm following along, and I might be veering off track a little bit, and they would say, that's great, cool, go on a little bit of an adventure and we'll come back here. So they were really lovely to work with.
So when it comes to, because you were doing the voice in LA, did they have someone fly over, or were you connecting via Zoom, or were there, like, how did it work in that sense?
So there were a couple of times where they had, where Boris would come over and he would be in studio in-house. There were a couple of times that he was via Zoom or via Skype. Obviously, when we did any sessions in 2020, he was over Zoom or over Skype. And then there were some times where they would say, because there was also a studio running in the UK, And so it was almost like as soon as the UK would go to sleep, we would start recording, and then we would go to sleep and the UK would start recording. So there were moments where they would say like, we trust you. You guys are in a groove. We'll check in with you in a couple of sessions or in a couple of days. We got to hang out with the UK team. Cause there were moments that they were just working nonstop, and they were like, we got to be writing sometimes. We got to be listening to, audio and listening in on the session. So I don't know how they managed that balance, but they did. And they would be listening to files after the sessions. I mean, it was crazy.
Cherami's voice acting as V from Cyberpunk blew my mind. It was one of the best voice acting in history of games. She deserves an award for her work.
Oh my gosh.
Pike. That's a pretty good...
That's so nice. Thank you.
I think you've just made her day, Pike.
Yeah.
What was it like working with Jackie, the actor who played Jackie?
He's such an incredible actor, and he is one person I did get to meet, which was very cool. At one point, they were running 2 studios. So Cyberpunk was in one booth, and then I was in the other. And so when Jason walked in, the director said, "Have you guys met? Because V and Jackie should meet." And we were like, "Oh, what? Hi!" And we'd already done both demos, and we'd done a little bit of the game, and it's just such a lovely person. And I think that absolutely comes through with
great
Jackie.
Chemistry. I'll tell you what.
I think that Jason could create chemistry with a brick wall, because he's just such a nice, cool, fun guy, which I think is so necessary for Jackie. And he has such a fun performance, and he's so lovable. And then there are moments where he absolutely breaks your heart. And he's a wonderful person, and I'm thrilled that I got to work with him. And I love his work in this game, and it made my job very easily, because I just had to react to what he was bringing.
Well, spoiler warning, guys, for anyone who hasn't finished it. What was your reaction to when his ultimate demise in the story?
So we did that, or at least I had been told that was going to happen when we worked on the demo. And so I said, well, that's awful. And I thought, because they told me that ahead of time, that there would be another way. Like, we were just going to do this version in the demo, and there would be another way.
Another
and
path.
When we started working on the main game, I said, okay, so when do we go back? When do we go back and do the other one? And they were like, there's no other one. And I said, no, there, the one where Jackie's okay. And they're like, there isn't one. And I said, I need a moment. And they let me take a few minutes to process this relationship that I have gotten so comfortable with that is going to change. And then I thought it was so nice, the phone calls that you can find later on in the game.
How
was
cool is
something
that?
we added much, much later.
Really?
That was not, as far as I know, that was not initially part of the process. And so I remember when the director said, and now we have this really nice moment where you can make these phone calls. And I
Bit
just
of a
thought,
hidden moment.
Yeah, I was like, what a wonderful thing to do for the player. And I needed that as the actor and as V. So I really thought that was a nice touch, because there just didn't feel like there was closure. And I feel like the character needed that. And then getting to see the family, getting to talk to Misty, all of that stuff. It's there's so much grief in this game.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. Yeah.
Yeah. There's so much grief in this game, but there's also so much humor in this game. And like I said, as someone who's been very guarded a lot of the time, and don't get too excited, don't feel too much joy, it could all go away at any moment in time. With this, when you're playing so many different paths, there are moments where V lets down V's guard a little bit. And then there are moments where V's like, nope, not doing it. I got to stay guarded. I got to protect myself. And it was nice to get to kind of experiment what would be my natural inclination as a person and what is me as an actor trying on, well, what would it be like if this is how I responded in a situation? And then seeing how those paths would evolve.
Now, you're not a gamer, are you?
I am, but I'm not a very good one. I'm not a very skilled gamer. So whenever anyone says for a convention, will you play like live on the stream? I'm like, no, because you want me to talk to people, and you want me to focus on playing the game, and like, how am I supposed
That's
to
a skill,
focus
yeah.
and not? It absolutely is. It is a skill I do not have. But my husband in quarantine has said, like, it'd be fun. I'll help you, and we'll practice, and then you'll feel comfortable, and then if you wanted to stream, you could. And I was like, that is never going to happen. And I think he is now in the camp where he's like, no amount of practice is ever going to get her ready to split her focus in both ways. Just won't happen. But I have been playing. I play a little bit of almost every game that I work on. But I've been very fortunate to work on so many games that as soon as I start playing a game, then another one will come out, and I'm like, oh, rain check. So I have like a stack of games in progress, just like the stack of books that I'm reading in progress.
You are never going to get to that.
Yeah, maybe one day I'll finish them all.
No, let's be honest. You got to be honest with yourself.
It's true.
So you've barely played Cyberpunk, I'm guessing. You've what, 2 hours in or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was terrified. I briefly started playing a couple weeks ago, and the reason I hadn't is because I couldn't make a decision on which life path I wanted. So I've been spending since December watching everybody else's streams, going, "Oh, that's a choice. Okay. Oh, okay." So I've been playing vicariously through you guys.
So which one did you choose in the end?
I took the street kid life path. My brother played Nomad. One of my best friends.
I played Nomad with yourself.
Chose Corpo, and so because I had watched their paths and I hadn't seen anybody that I knew take the street kid path, I was like, okay, well, I gotta do the other path.
So I've put a bit more time than you. I've put 150 hours in.
Yeah, a little bit more.
I think half and half. I think with you it was with female V it was Nomad, and
oh, cool.
And then with the male it was Corpo, but very, very different delivery.
Yeah,
I gotta say, yeah.
Yeah, I love that they let us keep our identity and our choices, which was really cool.
Don't tell Gavin, but I probably prefer you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
I'm not just saying that because you're here either.
There are some really great moments, I think.
No, he was great too.
When we were doing either or, like there were some moments where I'd be recording and I would say, how did he say it with that time? How can I stretch it, or how can I do it tighter? Can I hear what Gavin did? And I would go, that is such an interesting choice. I really like that. Man, that's really cool. And so there were a couple moments where it's so hard to share a character in some ways because you start feeling really insecure going, man, that's so cool. I did not think of that choice. He sounds so much cooler than I did. And it's just that we're two very different people. And so it's just like life. You go, can't compare. We're two different people playing this game. And there are going to be gamers that are going to resonate with his performance or my performance in different ways, in different life paths. And I think that's the great thing that CDP did, is they're like, we don't want to get a copy paste generic performance from either of them because we want them to stand on their own. We want people to resonate with their V in a different way. So I think that's really cool.
I think a lot of people pick the female V as well. Like I've noticed in a lot of AAA games now, they're giving both the male and the female versions. I know Assassin's Creed does it. So it's actually really cool to see. And I know you were in Horizon as well, which I think is the first game to ever have an all-female, like, on a motion capture stage.
Yeah.
Was that right?
I believe so. I think...
Or one of the first, anyway.
One of the first. So when we were doing our mocap day for Frozen Wilds, it was Ashley Birch, Victoria Atkin, and myself. And so we were in the studio, and I believe somebody from the stage came in and said, we just wanted to let you guys know this is the first day, because we had rehearsals there. They were like, there's there's no male actors in this stage. And this is, I believe they said the first time in that studio and in that soundstage that there had never been a male actor for that entire week. It was just the three of us. And we all were like, this is so cool. And then we thought, how is that possible that for a whole week on a soundstage? But that was a really cool experience.
Mr.
We were
White
three
Gaming.
girls fighting with each other and like wielding weapons. So we weren't having a slumber party.
That's all right. That's all right. Mr. White Gaming, can you ask Cherami if she's played the game, she's finished it, what ending did she go for? I'll ask you that.
Ooh.
What ending do you think's the canon ending in your mind? What? Spoiler warning, by the way, for everyone again.
So my cousin was playing the game and she was like, so I went to space. And I said, how do you feel? She goes, depressed. And I was like, that tracks. And I was like, yeah, I was very depressed. I just the idea that you would be like shipped off and alone for who knows how long. That's just, to me, really devastating.
Very.
It's difficult. We recorded so many endings.
I feel like, is there 6 endings?
There's a lot. I think at one point, they all felt pretty bleak. Like I was like, man, these are all very bittersweet endings. And for a while I was like, I don't want to make the choice where Johnny gets the body. Like I want V to be able. However, I think that's my favorite ending. That whole epilogue with Johnny. And kind of getting to have closure and all of that stuff, and that was some of my favorite. I had a lot of fun doing the scene work for those moments.
You would have recorded those endings probably later in the piece, yeah?
I think we were probably working on those the last 2 months, somewhere in the last 2 months of 2019.
Yeah. Because the game was supposed to come out in 2019 at one point? Or no, the start of 2020, was it?
I think, I know at one point
there's a lot of
it was
pushbacks,
like March,
wasn't there?
April 2020. And then I think it pushed to September of 2020.
And then again, yeah.
Yeah. There were moments when we were recording where we knew and we were like, I think we can get it all done in time, but there's just so much content. There's so much content. And they were constantly like upping the game, like doing what's the highest level of caliber that we can do to make this the best experience possible. And they're like, let's go for it. If we can do it, let's do it. So I have no idea what it was like in Poland and how hard they were working, but we were so amazed by the product and the stories and the content that they were cranking out, and at the magnitude that they were able to do it.
Yeah, 100%. Slingo says, what's your dream game to voice act for? Do you have an IP or a series that you're like, yeah, I wouldn't mind dabbling in that world?
Man, I mean, this was a big.
I mean, this is pretty
this
good.
This is a big deal. I had always said I would really love to play, like the playable character and a female protagonist in a game that wasn't just action, which I love action and I love doing that stuff. But I'm an actor, and I got into acting because I loved telling stories. So what I loved about this process is the player's in control. We have so many different options, but you guys are making the choices, which is very much like a film, but except you're the director and you're the editor. We're just kind of like at which pieces do you want to put together, and everybody has a unique experience. So as far as a challenge and an experience for an actor, it was very cool. And it's something that I never imagined I would get to do. And it was an absolute dream to get to do. And then put it on the stage that Cyberpunk got to be released on was even cooler. As far as other things that would be dream projects for me, I love historical fiction. So I would like to do some stuff that based in history, but maybe some of the questions and mysteries, we fill in the gaps and create a film or a game or a story based on that. I also really like mystery and paranormal stuff. So I think that would be really fun to get to work on a project in that way.
It'd be cool if you were in Horizon Forbidden West too, wouldn't it?
Right. I don't know if they'll let me do 2. I don't want to be greedy. That they're a wonderful team to work with as well. I want to make sure every actor gets the opportunity to work with that team. But if they asked, I certainly would jump at the chance to work with them again.
How different was the project compared to your anime work from Cisco?
Well, with anime, we'll work on a series 12 to 24 episodes, and then usually there's a little bit of a break, and we have to see, do the fans like it? Are they going to want to animate an additional season? Is the development team and the creative team, do they want to do a second season? So you usually do a couple months maybe with a character, and then you take a break, and then if you're lucky, it's 6 months. Sometimes it's 3 years. And then if you're very fortunate, like I have been with a couple of projects, you work on like a Sailor Moon or a Fairy Tale where there are hundreds of episodes. And when you start, you have 50 episodes. And then they say, well, we'll see how it goes. And then over time, you end up working on 300 plus or whatever the case may be. But with Cyberpunk, I still, when I say the name, I'm like, oh my gosh, am I going to get in trouble? No, it's fine now. This is loud. But with that, I didn't know going in how many sessions they were going to need. And then as I kind of saw the line count would change, and I was like, man, this is a huge line count. I'm gonna get to spend a lot of time with this character without any breaks.
Did you know she was a main character?
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did know that. I just didn't know. Usually for video games, they'll say when you audition, this is gonna be, we're gonna have one session, or we're gonna have a couple sessions, and it's gonna film or record during this time frame. The first time that I experienced sort of not knowing when we were gonna end was Persona 5. And I went in for one session, and you, as an actor, you're like, I want to get as many lines as possible. I want to make sure I get everything that they needed done in this time frame. I don't want them to fall behind. And I remember we had maybe 10 minutes left of my first Persona session, and I saw the little tiny bar on the Excel document, and I was like, oh no, I'm so behind. We have all of this left to do. She's like, okay, we'll get you scheduled for next week. And I remember walking out going, okay. And then after we rescheduled, I was like, I am so sorry that we are not done. I don't know why I'm moving so slow. She's like, honey, we're going to be here for months. So with Cyberpunk, they said, we're going to be here for months. And I said, okay, well, you guys just let me know if I need to move quicker. And the director said, I don't want you worrying about any of that. I want you to be just staying in the scene. I will handle the pace. I will do what we need. That's my job. You just have fun, stay in the scene, create the character. And that was really fun, giving me permission to just play.
The Juan Amigo says, what did you think of Johnny Silverhand and the first impression of him?
Oh, man. Which path did you take? Because Johnny has many different personalities.
Eh?
Yeah. So it's always fun to get. That's one of my favorite things about Cyberpunk, and one of the reasons why I was so hesitant to play at first, because when I'm acting, I get to play all of the paths. I don't have to choose. And now when I'm playing the game, I'm not going to get to hear every single one of Johnny's cool, quippy responses. I got to pick one. I got to choose which one I want to hear. I love actually when V is a little saucy with Johnny, and he comes back very combative. I really like those. But ultimately, I really like some of the moments where you kind of get to see how much Johnny cares about V, or is starting to care. And I, as the actor, was often saying, like, I don't trust him. I don't trust how this is going. And then as we would take the path, I would go, okay, all right, maybe he's not so bad. But yeah, in the beginning, those initial moments, I'm like, this is a very un-Keanu character. So that was probably my first response. I'm like, Keanu is so nice and so chill and very, very cool.
Isn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, and Johnny is cool in a different way.
Yeah, 100%. Some more questions here. Desi says, can you relate to your character of female V?
Yeah, I mean, there was a moment when we were recording where there was a line where she said, I came to this city to pursue my dreams, and I'm not going to give up on myself, and I'm not going to give up on this city. And it felt very much like, as an actor,
going to LA?
Yeah. Like, you know, I came to this city because this is where you got to go, where the opportunities are. And it's no question. We've all seen it. We've all read it. It's a tough city and it's a tough business to live in. Like, everybody is out here fighting for their dream, working as hard as possible, and everybody wants it, and everybody will do whatever it takes. And you just have to draw that line for yourself of, like, what is whatever it takes? What am I willing to sacrifice for my career and for my dream? And you, as the player, get to decide what V is willing to sacrifice or what V is willing to do. And I think that this is true for anybody in life. Like, what do you want? What are the dreams that you want? How far are you willing to go to pursue it? And what are the non-negotiables of, I will not lose this to get for this goal that I may or may not reach. So I definitely related to that. I've heard a lot of people say, like, V has so much emotion and so much pain and so, like, very sarcastic. Absolutely, I relate to that. I've been told so many times in my life, you have so many emotions. And I'm like, yeah, I'm an actor. I play with emotions for a living. They're all, like, hanging out with me. I'm very comfortable with my emotions, and I love working with emotions. I love the psychology of dissecting why you're experiencing this and what that really means. And so getting to go down that road with her and be a very emotional person in certain paths, and allowing those really painful or funny moments to affect you, but also being very guarded, which I'm guarded in a lot of ways. So I definitely related to V in all those different ways at different points in different times. But while I was recording, the director would say, I know that some of these are pretty heavy and pretty dark. And so he would try to give me a funny section right after. And I'll tell you, Brendan just played me. I was like, Brendan is fun. Brendan will make me laugh. Brendan is joy. And then
is that the robot?
The vending machine.
The vending machine.
Yes,
yeah, that's Brian Deshard.
Oh
yeah?
my gosh,
Yeah.
yes. And then by the end of that mission, you're like, this was supposed to be my safe place and my joy. And you just took my heart and you ripped it out.
That was cool because his girlfriend, his wife, was also the character in that sequence.
Which
that was great.
So great. And I love that little nod to their relationship.
Yeah.
And because they're such well-known streamers as well. And so that was a really fun little bit.
I got to ask you about a few relationship paths in the game.
Okay.
We got Judy, River, Panam.
Mm-hmm.
I'll start with Panam.
Okay.
Talk to me a bit about that. And like,
I
there's some interesting scenes in a tank.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Panam they're all so fun, and I really lucked out in getting with Carla and Emily and Robbie. I knew Robbie going into recording, but I've not met Emily or Carla. And what incredible actors. Like, again, I just have to just play in the scene and react to their performances. And my job is so easy because they're so good. We had a lot of fun with Panam and kind of figuring out, because of course, as I'm sure the internet is aware, what is also interesting about this game, just because you're attracted to someone doesn't mean that they're attracted to you. And so there are many moments where you can get shut down, which there are moments where I guess you could experience that with Carrie a little bit. And I know a lot of people have been frustrated by that. But at the same time, I'm kind of like, well,
that's cool.
That's like life. Like you could be attracted to someone and it's through no fault of their own. They just say, I don't feel that way about you. And we have to be able to respect their wishes as well. Just because we're playing a game and we're the player, and this is our world, we've got to respect the integrity of the characters that we're interacting with.
What about Judy? Because I know she was a big fan favorite as well.
Judy is so cool. Yeah, they're so different. I love the sort of banter and the sparring that happens with Panam, and then with Judy, Carla has just a great quality about her voice that she's very grounding. She's very centered. Carla knows exactly who she is. And I think that's a really cool anchor for V if you choose to go that way. And Carla's, Judy is so fun. And she's super smart and she's super badass. So those are all really cool. I love all of the back and forth banter with Panam, and I think that's a lot of fun. I love getting to go on go through the Evelyn adventure with Judy, and then having that kind of when they're swimming and getting to see a little bit of Carla's or a little bit of Judy's personal backstory, if you choose to go that route. That's a really lovely moment that you don't always get to see from Judy's character.
But it must be fun doing some of those, like the love scenes or the lead up to those. Yeah. Like I feel like it'd just be a lot of fun to sort of muck around.
We're doing each option. Like usually I think we'll probably play
what I mean.
And then we'll go back and do the option. So so that's very fun to go like, okay, well, here's the option where everything's going swimmingly and everybody likes this and wants to proceed. And let's do the other option where like, nope, shut down. Okay, cool. Now let's do this other option. It's a very, it feels like you're doing improv or scene study in an acting studio. Cause you're like, okay, now what would happen if they said no, now go. So you kind of get to get less married to the choices that you're making because you're going to do it completely differently in about 5 minutes.
Dan, could you ask her, did she have a particular favorite mission or gig in the game?
That's like impossible.
That's a bit hard. I've got the Cyberpunk book and there's literally like hundreds to choose from.
I know that I said
Just
to the
pick one.
director at one point, I said, he goes, so we're doing this mission. And I had said, this one's my favorite mission. And then he would say, well, we're going to be working on this mission. I go, okay, now that one's my favorite. And now we were probably like 8 months in. And I said, they've got to stop. Like I've changed my mind 30 times this week alone. There's too many good missions. Like if they're trying to top themselves, they've already done it so many times. They're all so good. Since I didn't mention, River, and I loved getting to work with Robbie. It was such a dark
River.
Mission.
Yeah.
The Peter Pan mission.
Oh, that's a great mission. Very dark, but yeah.
Very dark, but it was I love getting to do the sort of the detective and the digging and finding out all that stuff, and
that was great.
Stakes are so high for that mission, and that I think that was a really good one. Really the big story with Evelyn was also just a really great, I think it was a really well written arc. I also really quite enjoy getting to find the tarot cards with Misty, that like the whole reading where you got to track them around. I think that was a fun sort of offbeat. I know the director and I really enjoyed working on the mission with the tortoise as well. That was fun.
I like the monk mission Do you remember that
Oh,
one?
yeah.
The
Yeah.
several months. Yeah, that was very bizarre.
Absolutely.
But that
Very
was fun.
bizarre.
There's
And that's
so
what's
many.
so interesting about how they created this game. You'll go, this is so weird, and yet it feels so grounded. And I don't know how they were able to keep that juxtaposition.
Yeah, it feels like
there
something
that,
you'd expect.
yeah,
Traveling through.
It's totally out of. I mean, I love the stuff with Brendan, and then the guy who's the leader, and he's sharing all the conspiracies and all of that stuff, and how all those crazy paths can go. And you would go, this is so off the wall. But in Night City, it makes sense.
Yeah. Did you see the unfortunate news of CD Projekt Red? Their data was hacked or something like that. Did you see that story doing the rounds?
Oh my gosh.
Have you heard anything about that?
Sounds
bad.
Yeah, I've seen the post where they
that they did.
where they shared what happened. I cannot imagine, and I mean so many people worked on this game behind the scenes, and were so vulnerable with their creativity and all of that, and then to just get hit like that, it's gut wrenching. You never want to see that happen to anyone.
Yeah, it is sad. I just been reminded here by about the Crucifixation Mission. Do you remember that mission? That is one of the craziest missions I've ever seen in a game.
That was one of the hardest couple of days, just because you never think that you'll have
it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even that the way that there are characters in the mission that seem to be more concerned with the
publicity,
response and the feedback and the publicity, less than concerned with the human being, really hit me, because I have always I was on the debate team, and that was my speech when I was 13, 14, was how society will often put people on a pedestal, and then they make a mistake, or they change and they evolve, and people decide, oh, we don't like you anymore, or you're not relevant anymore. And then there's a human that is kind of left bleeding and vulnerable, and we just don't care. It's not our problem. And I remember my speech, the comparison that I made, which a lot of people wouldn't probably respond to as well now, but I had said it's very much like Grisabella in Cats. Is you have this character that is so popular and beloved, and then you see what happens when everybody forgets about them, and they're still hurting, and they don't know why nobody loves them anymore. They're still their heart still beats the same, and they still want to be loved and accepted. And so when I was able to see in this game that the world that what Night City had become over time was something that glorified a person sacrificing themselves, was really, really hard. Just to see, like, man, we as a society need to start caring about human beings and be compassionate for other people. Otherwise, how far will we go as a society for entertainment and publicity at the expense of another human being?
And I was one of the first to upload that mission to YouTube, and I remember the comments vividly, and they're still coming into this day, of just everyone that comments has a long paragraph of what they thought of that mission. I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah.
With all different opinions as well. Like, I don't know who came up with that mission, but yeah, you could say it's controversial, but I think it's an unbelievable mission, really, because you half the people might not ever see it, because I think it's just a random sort of event that happens, and then you can either follow him in the car or you can walk away.
Right.
You know, there's so many times you can walk away before getting to that final point. And I think it was the last mission I played on a weekend, and then I just had to put the controller down after that, because that was just crazy.
And I think that's what's so important with this game, and what I love about being an actor, be it in theater, in film, in television, in gaming, in whatever the medium that you're watching be. My favorite thing about going to a play or seeing a movie is to leave the theater and talk to the people that you saw the project with and get their feelings and learn based on their life experience, how did this impact you? We saw the exact same movie, but did we see the exact same movie? Did we respond to it in the exact same way? And how can we have conversations and figure out what the common ground is, and how did your life experience make you see the same scene differently? So I think if we are able to have those conversations with each other, especially about controversial points, and come to a compassionate understanding of, I see where you're coming from, I disagree, but I see where you're coming from, then it teaches us to be a more empathetic society. And I also think it's necessary when we're playing games and we're surrounded by arguably these traumatic situations that happen, to allow ourselves to be impacted by that. And like you said, to like put the controller down and go, I gotta walk away and process this for a second, because you just vicariously endured trauma, and you should need the time to process it and see how you feel about that, and how does that impact the choices you make in your real life.
Were you told that the player was going to be able to nail him?
No.
Really?
I was going through everything that we recorded in the game. I did not know until I was voicing it. So I had no idea how everything was going to work, and of course it's a very controversial mission and situation, and I think
ballsy's the word I said.
Yeah, I think so much of the entertainment that we're seeing now is stirring up controversy and is starting conversations, and teaching us about what we value as human beings. And I think those are necessary and important conversations.
Gigi asks, did you know what the environment would look like by the end? Did you have it imagine, like, did you know what Night City was going to become, or what it felt like?
Based on pictures that I'd seen or trailers that had been released, that was all I had to kind of fill in the gaps for Night City. As far as like, did I have an idea of a map or how, like, where all the cities were going to land? I did not.
You would have
know
just had
any of
imagery,
that.
yeah, and
yeah,
like
just whatever sketches I saw or whatever. But it all felt very disjointed. It's hard to think back on it and think like, what did I think of Night City? Because of course now we all have a very concrete understanding of it. But I think at that point, before it was released and before I had seen extensive gameplay, all I had was like disjointed imagery and clips and sketches and things like that.
Yeah, 100%. Now, I think CD Projekt Red announced there was going to be some sort of DLC, some content after the fact. I know they're working on the actual game, like glitches and things like that at the moment. So I'm guessing if you were to do that, you haven't recorded it yet?
No, I have no idea. I've heard people on the internet and various people saying, I hope there's a DLC, or I heard there's a DLC. It'll probably be like everything else. I will find out as soon as they say, hey, come into the studio and record stuff, and that will be how I find out. But yeah, I don't. They've got so many things going on, and there's so much content.
Can't envy them, do you?
Yeah, no, it's so much work. I don't know how they're navigating everything. So hopefully we'll see. I would certainly love to dive back into Night City and get back to work. I miss the production team. I have so many fond memories, nothing but fond memories working with them. So it's, you know, it's like going to camp and you're like, I can't wait to go back and see my friends again. But I'm not I'm not in an immediate rush to get back, because I would ideally love to get to do that in a studio, and due to the current circumstances, that's just not possible. But of course, if the decision is like, we want to get this DLC out and I'll be recording at home, I'll be happy to get to work with them, voice only or in person.
Yeah. Just a few more questions before I let you go. I really appreciate your time, by the way.
Oh, of course. Thank you.
Are you familiar with Troy Baker?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I had him on the other day, and he said 2020 was a weird year for him because he didn't necessarily have more work, but he had different work. What would you say about 2020 for you? Because I don't know. Do you have a booth at home that you're working? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So did you have more work, less work, different work? What would you say?
I was very fortunate in that I still had work. Obviously, I didn't have travel, so that's a big part of my job that I love, and I missed that aspect. And while I know there are a lot of virtual conventions and events, I sort of, like Troy said, but maybe not in the way Troy meant that. I sort of said, I'm going to take this downtime and I'm going to clean house, metaphorically and physically. So it was getting all of the stuff that I have kind of allowed to accumulate because I've been too busy with work and being out and about. And now that I was stuck inside, it's been a lot of kind of sorting through coping mechanisms that I do that maybe are not super healthy. It's not super healthy to just busy yourself with work all the time, and when you're exhausted and you're worn down, say, no, I'm just going to keep working and it'll be fine. No, take the time. Like, you got to take care of your body. You only have one. You can't wear it out. So this 2020 was a year of self-reflection and I guess retreat for me, and it was, I mean, I would say a very traumatic year for everyone in the world, with dealing with a lot of fear and a lot of overwhelm and wondering what the future looks like.
You're still in lockdown now, aren't you?
We are. It's very strange. I'm more at home than outside. We're still very much on patio dining for food and meals and things like that. But I'm at home most of the time since I record from home, so I don't really have any reason to leave. I will go outside maybe once or twice a week and do like a masked run. But that's about it for my current situation. So I absolutely miss people, but it's made me feel very fortunate that I have a job, that my family thankfully has stayed healthy, that I've had my husband and my cats. And you kind of look at your priorities and go, what do I need and what is bonus? And what do I really need from my work or what I'm creating or my friends and family? And what is just like, man, I'm so lucky to get to experience this and kind of get to see things from a different vantage point.
100% agree. Are there any games that you're working on that you can even talk about, or anime or anything, or some exciting things coming out this year, next year?
What can I talk about? I worked on the live action dub for Losing Alice on Apple TV. And I worked on an animated feature, the dub for an animated feature called Morona's Fantastic Adventure. And Pokemon is on Netflix. I'm trying to think what else
That's
is on.
surreal.
What's on Netflix? Oh my gosh, my husband is a huge Pokemon fan. And I grew up playing Pokemon with my brother, so now getting to like be a part of this series is very, very
you're a similar age to me. Like back in the day, it was Dragon Ball Z, Pokemon, Sailor Moon, and Digimon.
Yeah,
those were the big four, and now you're in two of them.
I worked on that, and then I got to work on Digimon a couple years ago. So
so 3. There you go.
I took my little Beomon to the movie theater and put Beomon in the cup holder to watch the it's so weird. It's so surreal.
Do you watch anime? Because it is a different.
I do a little bit. I mean, I since I work on it so frequently.
That's what I mean. Yeah, it's gotta
my
be...
husband has said, like, do you want to watch a cartoon or do you want to play video games? He's very much into animation and video games, and obviously I am too. It's my job. But usually when I come home, if I want to watch something, I will gravitate towards live action or reality shows, usually documentaries. Really? Because I've worked with cartoons and video games all day, that I guess I just need to remind myself of what I actually look like. So I want to watch a documentary. I have no idea. That being said, we do watch a lot of cartoons and we do watch anime, and just
there you go.
With the games that I play, I love what I get to do. I love what I get to work on. I'm so impressed with the team and the people that I get to work with, that there are scenes from every day that I have worked where I'll go, I cannot wait to see this finished. And so even if it's just like, I've got to watch this one episode because I want to see what it sounds like with, me and these 4 other actors, because I want to hear the full picture. So I do watch a little bit of everything.
Yeah, I mean, I dabble in it. I mean, I've watched, I don't know if you're familiar with a Death Note. That's probably one of my favorites. Yeah. But I also watched Steins Gate, which I know you were in. It's been a while, though, so I don't fully remember it. I think I would have watched it 5 or 6 years ago.
Season 2, if you have not seen Season 2, it takes the emotional place of Season 1 and just, like, cranks it up.
Very emotional show for an anime.
Oh, my gosh. The second season,
me.
I remember telling the director, I said, okay, I'm going to cry again. And he was like, just from the preview, I'm already like welling up with tears. That was one of the times when I worked on Steins Gate. There's a scene with her and an infamous letter. And I did the first pass and I was just a mess. And the director, Colleen Klinkenbeard, said, that was great. We're going to do it again. You were so emotional. It was so good, but we couldn't understand it because you were crying so much because it was so like raw. And I said, yeah, that's very fair. I'll do it again. So that show just tears me up.
Wow. That's good. I don't know how you can bring yourself to tears. I don't know how some actors do it. Crazy.
I bring myself to tears with just any commercial, like a Folgers commercial that I've seen 30 times, all those holiday commercials. I'm just like weeping. So all the emotions are right at the surface. I'm very easy to be affected by anything emotionally. Like somebody will go, we were watching Snoopy, the Snoopy show, I think on Apple Plus. And I don't know what it was, but I was like, that is so sweet. My husband's like, are you crying? And I was like, yes, I'm sorry. It's really sweet. I have feelings.
So what are some favorite shows or movies that you've watched recently that you can recommend to us?
Recently.
Are you HBO, Netflix,
I almost
Disney?
was like, there's 2 projects that I'm recording right now, and I was like, you should watch this. I was like, no, that's not how we're working on that. Yes, I'm trying to think like, what am I working on and what am I actually watching for me? I watched One Night in Miami, directed by...
Is that Regina King?
Regina King.
Yeah.
Yes. I was so impressed, and I feel very naive and ignorant that I did not know that it was a play. And the whole time I was watching the movie, I was like, I need to see this on stage. These actors are brilliant. Take everybody else and put this on stage. I would love to see this live in theater. And of course, it's a play. It was fantastic.
I think she might be nominated for an Oscar.
Has to be. That was so good. My husband and I loved Soul. We thought that was great.
What a movie!
What a movie! As you're we watched it.
It's almost made for adults over
I think
kids.
it is. And after we watched it the first pass, I said, I'm going to need to watch that again. It's it's so beautiful, and they broke it down in such a relatable way, but there are so many layers underneath the scenes that you cannot look away and you cannot turn your brain off. There's so much going on. I really enjoyed that. What documentary did I just watch? Man, I told like 30 people about it in
and hey, blanking.
5 days.
That'd be right.
I watched it a month ago, and I told like 30 people about it for a week after, and I was like, "You've got to watch this." My mind
was it on Netflix?
You know, I don't even know if it was on Hulu or Netflix, but I'm a fan of probably any and all documentaries, because while I know it makes me sound like an absolute nerd, which I am, I love going to school. I love learning. Documentaries are so fun for me to get to see people in their element, explaining things that they're experts on. It's so fun.
Have you seen the
documentary? It's the
what was it called?
documentary on, I can't remember the name of it, but it is on Netflix. It's a documentary about Rubik's Cube competitors.
Yeah.
And they were actually, their championship is in, I believe it's in Melbourne. And I remember watching and going, I've been to that convention center. So that was fun. But we watched that, and then we also watched a documentary about independent gamers, people creating tabletop gaming in an independent space, which was really
I think I've seen that.
Yeah.
Have you seen the documentary on the whales? That's a real depressing one.
No.
Yeah, I forgot the name.
And I haven't seen the octopus one yet. But
that's another one that's
in a session
doing the rounds.
I was in a couple days ago. The director gave me a fun fact about an octopus that occasionally octopus or octopi, when they're swimming by, they just like to punch fish in the face just because they can. It's just a random factoid that he gave me in my session, which I was like, now I need an animated TV show about an octopus just like living his life.
Far out. Well, it's been a pleasure to have you on. We'll have to get you back at some point. Thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you.
Before I let you go, can I get female V to can she come alive for a little bit?
Yeah. So the one line that everyone says, can you do a line? The first line, I did this every single day before every single session. This is how we set the voice. There were a couple lines, and the very first line was always, "What's on the menu today?" And we would have to say that line and like three others to make sure. So when everyone's like, what's the first V line that comes to mind? I was like, you guys are not going to be impressed by it. It's not a super fun, like cool, just a random, what's on the menu today?
Oh, beautiful. All right. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thank
and
you.
I
You
will
too.
hopefully get you back on soon. Take care.
Take care of Night City for me.
Will do. Thank you.
Thank you.
There you have it, guys. Thank you so much for taking the time to check that out. Plenty more people coming up that I will announce very, very shortly. Call of Duty stars, they're coming. Who cares? That was awesome. Thank you, man. You've been here the whole time. Appreciate it. You are a legend. Curry Cash, thank you. I'll try and get Keanu next. I think it might be a little bit tough. DJ Jamaican, thank you. GG, Pogger Stream, thank you, brother. Slingo, appreciate it, man. Who's next, guys? Who's next? Well, I can confirm to you that Ghost, Jeff Leach, will be coming on in a week's time. So I'll give you that one for now. There is a few more coming on, but just for you guys, Jeff Leach will be coming on. He plays Ghost, Modern Warfare, Warzone. So it'll be great. He's a blaster to talk to, I tell you what. So that'll be great. And the original Ghost, Craig, I'm working on it. All right? Just hang with me. It could be a possibility. All right? So it's going to be great. You should get the whole cast of World War II. Yeah, I will try, man. I'm going to try to get every Call of Duty there is. Mr. White, thank you, man. Great questions. Really, really appreciate it. Really, really good questions, man. Desi Elliot Knight. Elliot Knight's a tough one, man. I've been trying to get him, but he's a tough one. I'll keep working on it. Yeah, the old ghost as well. Oh yeah, Jeff. Get David Hayter, aka Solid Snake. That'd be good, wouldn't it? Mission failed. We'll get him next time. Thanks, guys. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. It was really fun to talk to Cherami. She's really, really nice. I'll tell you what, she is super nice, super bubbly. We wish her all the best, and hopefully we'll get her back on soon. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Take care, and I will see you next time.
We've got a job to do. We've known each other for years. Fought together, bled together, been through the hell of Vietnam together. We've got a job to do.
And now the training's complete. You just need to give the subject a name.
Dan, we've got a job to do. In the shadows. They'll send us in to find them.
126 Actual. Target is in the main house. You have execute authority.
Bravo 6. Going dark.
If he lives and we die, his truth becomes written and ours is lost.
Your cities will surrender, broken and weak. We will not fail.
They were hostages. When you take the gloves off, you get blood on your hands, Kyle. That's how it works. We get dirty, and the world stays clean. That's the mission. How quickly they forget that all it takes to change the course of history is the will of a single man.
It's not over yet. Trust me.
CIA's analysts consider him to be the single largest threat to free will.
Did you get the plane I ordered?
That's a hell of a request, but give me enough time and I can have one parked outside.
Are you being cheeky, Dan?
Being cheeky, are we, Belle?
Like right now, I'll start talking like Adler. Where is Perseus? Perseus.
Where is Perseus?
This is Agent 47. Subscribe to Dan Allen Gaming. He's a great guy.
I have mad respect for you. You've earned my respect.
Dan Allen! You and I. Going dark. Now!
I just want to say a big thank you to you and your community.
Thank you so much for having me. Honestly, it's so fun, and I love talking about this.
Hey, Danny, again, I think you're special. What you do is special. You're goddamn good at this.
I'll have to do it again. Thanks so much, man.
Anytime. Pleasure, man. Take care.
Take care.
Appreciate you,
appreciate you too.
Wanting to be involved, and thank you for all the work you're doing in the space and keeping people involved in the game. And I think it's just beautiful, and it's just